Greetings, fellow book lovers, and welcome back to Colin's Corner. Today, guys, we are going to be reviewing Dune by Frank Herbert, of course, the sci-fi classic. But before we get into the review, we have to go over the answer for the last video's Comedy with Colin segment, where I asked you guys to joke, what do you call an injured Batman? The answer? Bruised Wayne. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get on with this review. Just a disclaimer, this is going to be a spoiler-free review. I know that it's Dune, many people know the plot, the story of Dune, but I didn't really know much about it before reading this. So I'm making this review with the assumption that there are lots of other people out there that are fans of sci-fi and fantasy that have yet to read Dune and still don't know about it, so I chose to go with the spoiler-free version. Dune is highly regarded as one of the best sci-fi selling novels of all time. It's considered one of the best sci-fi novels by many of all time, and while it is technically considered sci-fi, I myself and many other fantasy fans can quickly find a comfortable home in these pages because it truly does, to me in many ways, feel like an epic fantasy adventure. So what is Dune about? Well, for those that don't know, as I was one of the few, I'll go over the general premise for you. So at the time of the release, Dune was, and this was again released in 1966, published by Chilton Books, and at the time of release, Dune was set in the distant future. Now, in Herbert's world, there is this interstellar, basically feudal system where different families or noble houses control different planets in this galaxy. The emperor of this universe is Shaddam. He gives stewardship to the planet of Arrakis to the Atreides family. The Duke of House Atreides, Duke Leto, accepts the stewardship and plans are made to move him and his entire family and all of their people to this new world. Now, Caladan, where the Atreides family ruled at the beginning of the novel, is a very different place than Arrakis, with bountiful water, plant life, a healthy ecosystem. Life on Caladan was paradise compared to the vast desert lands of Arrakis. Despite the unimaginable living conditions, Arrakis is the most important planet in this system for one main reason, and that is melange, or also known as the spice. The spice that extends human lifespans, provides vitality, and grants near superhuman abilities to navigate throughout space. The spice is the most valuable commodity in the world, and the Atreides family was determined to learn everything that they could about it. The Atreides and their people are not moving into an unoccupied land, however. Residing on Arrakis long before them are a people known as the Freemen, who have learned how to navigate this harsh environment and survive the lack of resources and lethal sandstorms that are unpredictable and near unavoidable. As if all of this wasn't enough to deal with, there's another native species to the land, and they are known as sandworms, which are massive animals that remind me much of the worms from Tremors, if you're familiar with that gem of a movie series. And that movie series absolutely terrified me in my childhood, so these worms kind of brought up some of those childhood traumatic memories. So Dune tells the story of how the Atreides family learns to live on this cruel planet, how they navigate negotiating with the Freemen, and how they survive the sandstorms and sandworms that permeate the land. Prophecies state that there is a Messiah-type figure destined to lead the Freeman people, and signs are pointing to the fact that this Messiah may have just planted themselves directly on the planet Arrakis for the Freemen to find. In Dune, we get to explore how the Atreides family navigate this interstellar political warfare, if the Freemen will be saved, and who ends up with the power in the end. Frank Herbert explores many themes in this book, including politics, ecology, religion, culture, and psychology, amongst many others, and is a mixture between hard sci-fi and soft sci-fi, where some of the things are explained and others are left up to the reader's imagination. You'll find many metaphors that parallel to real life, such as the lack of water on Arrakis and the fight for it, kind of being a comparison to oil, said by Frank Herbert himself. That was the metaphor that he was trying to make. And the spice is a metaphor for many different types of control. I mean, it could be money, it could be influence, however you want to take that. The spice can signify many, many things, and there are many factions of people fighting for control or possession of just any amount of spice. So if you're a fantasy and sci-fi fan that has yet to read Dune, such as I was, then I highly suggest giving it a go. The writing didn't feel antiquated to me at all. Not that I was really worried about that per se, but I just figured I would let you guys know that it read very well for me. I loved Herbert's prose. This plot was extremely engaging, and the themes that Herbert explored all still carry weight in today's world. Now, in my opinion, Dune is a book that lends itself to many rereads, and I will certainly be rereading this one many, many times over the years. It's hard to go into too much more about Dune without risking getting into spoiler territory, but that should give you guys a pretty good idea of the plot of the book. We've got some fantastic characters in this book. A few of my favorites were, of course, Paul, Jessica, Thufir Hawat. I loved even reading about the Baron. He was horrible, but a great character. And this world that Herbert created was so incredibly imaginative, and I cannot imagine reading this when it came out in 1966 and thinking about how far in the future, we would have to be inhabiting different planets and such. He created some very cool inventions, such as the still suit, which you'll learn about if you read Dune, or if you've read it, then you know what I'm talking about. Just some really cool stuff to imagine. And the movie adaptation, I've seen the first part of it, but not the second part of it yet. I want to go back and watch the first part again because I watched it before I read Dune, and I wish I wouldn't have done that, but now I'd like to go back with the context that I have now of reading just the first book of Dune and rewatch that and watch the second one, because I know they are very highly regarded. People loved them. So I will probably continue with Dune at some point, the series that is. I have Dune Messiah. I don't own any of the books beyond that, so if you guys think that it's worth reading past Dune Messiah, I would love for you to let me know in the comments. That's going to do it for today's video. It may be a little bit shorter than some of my other reviews, but I did just want to get a spoiler-free review for Dune out because, man, I put this off for too long, and if there's anybody else out there like I am that's a fan of sci-fi and fantasy and that has been putting Dune off, I wanted to maybe just help inspire a few people to go ahead and finally pick up this masterpiece. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit the like button, and if you like what you saw today, then consider subscribing to the channel and following my journey as I read through many different fantasy and sci-fi series and share my thoughts and my reviews with you guys on YouTube. It's free for you guys to subscribe, and it goes a long way for me, and I would greatly appreciate it. Before we end today's video, we of course have to do comedy with Colin, and today's joke is going to be, why can the Mississippi River see so well? If you think you know the answer, drop it in your comment below. Guys, I hope you are all enjoying what you're currently reading, and remember, you're always welcome in Colin's Corner.